Boa noite, pessoal aqui da comunidade brasileira nos estados, especialmente nos estados do Texas, Colorado, Novo México, Arkansas, Kansas, Oklahoma e Louisiana, que são os estados sob a jurisdição do Consulado-Geral do Brasil em Houston. E boa noite também ao pessoal aí do Brasil que está nos assistindo, os estudantes, pesquisadores interessados em vir estudar nos Estados Unidos. A primeira coisa que eu peço a vocês é para se inscreverem aqui no canal, para curtirem a gente aqui, porque com isso o nosso canal consegue alcançar mais gente e eu acho bem bacana esse evento poder chegar em quanto mais pessoas, melhor. Nós temos aqui nesse segundo dia, segunda palestra do dia, nós vamos falar sobre uma outra universidade americana, a Texas A&M Engineering, e vão falar com a gente aqui hoje a professora doutora Maria Claudia Alves. Se não estou falando errado o cargo dela em português, ela é diretora sênior dos programas de engenharia Halliburton. Teremos também John Buchanan, diretor de seleção, ou recruiting, como eles chamam aqui, e teremos outros participantes. Professora Maria, muito obrigado, and thank you all for having us today.
Thank you, Daniel, for the invitation, for having Texas A&M be part of the event. And we have a good group here today. We have John Buchanan, we have David Sousa, and we have 3 student ambassadors. So we'll have the opportunity as well to ask questions from the students' point of view who have joined Texas A&M Engineering. And Texas A&M is a very large university. It has over 70,000 students and many colleges, many areas to study. But today we would like to share with you more information about the College of Engineering, which is a very important area for Texas A&M. A&M stands for Agriculture and Mechanics, mechanics being engineering, when Texas A&M was founded in 1876. So as Daniel said, my name is Maria Alves, and I'm the Senior Director for Engineering Global Programs, Halliburton Engineering Global Programs. I'm Brazilian, so if you have questions, you can also ask in Portuguese, but our presentation today will be in English, so we can really share with you everything that we do and have the participation of our students. So here are the names of the presenters today, and that's our outline. So first part of the agenda, John Buchanan will talk about the College of Engineering and the process to apply. And we have a very interesting program that is a partnership of Texas A&M with junior colleges, and David de Souza will also talk about that program. And he's also Brazilian, so for questions you can ask in Portuguese as well. And then I'll present a little bit of our engineering global program, so all the opportunities that we have in the College of Engineering for you to develop your global mindset and become a better engineer in this global world that we face right now. And we have our ambassadors that will be ready to share their experience and answer questions. So without any further delay, I'd like to ask John to take over the presentation. I'll move the slides for you, John, if you let me know.
Perfect, Dr. Alves. Thank you so much. And howdy, everyone. Howdy is the official greeting at Texas A&M. We're a very friendly campus, take a lot of pride in that. So when you hear someone say howdy, the polite response is to say howdy back. So I hope you're greeting me with a howdy as well from wherever you are tonight. But thank you guys so much for spending some time with us to hear about Texas A&M and the College of Engineering. As Dr. Alves mentioned, we were originally founded as the Agricultural and Mechanical College of Texas. And that's very, very important for what we're talking about tonight, because that mechanical piece means we've been educating engineers from day one since 1876. In 2019, Texas A&M graduated its 500,000th former student. So we have over 500,000 former students now that have come through our doors, and over 110,000 of those have been engineers. Somewhere in the world today in 2020, there's approximately 90,000 practicing Aggie engineers out there. So it's a very vast, a very robust, and a very powerful network of both current students and former students that you guys are potentially joining. As she mentioned, we are a large university. Our College of Engineering is very large. We have over 20,000 students just within the College of Engineering. And I don't want those numbers to scare you away. What I want you to hear is that we're a large university. We have a lot of fantastic resources that go along with being a university our size and with being a tier 1 research institution, but we still maintain a very small town family feel, both on the campus and in the communities of Bryan and College Station, where we're located. And so it's a very unique vibe, a very unique atmosphere here at Texas A&M that's very, very cool. This slide shows you just a few of the highlights, literally the tip of the iceberg, but we do have over 700 faculty that are available and ready to teach you guys. Almost 100 of them are professors of practice. So these are men and women who have years and years of industry experience, and now they're at Texas A&M teaching our students, but they can also serve as fantastic resources for you as you go through your time at Texas A&M. They can give you advice, they can answer questions, they're still well connected with industry, and so they can really help point you in the right direction as you're navigating this whole college experience. One thing to also note, even with our size, that I like to point out is you will never have an engineering course larger than 100 students at Texas A&M. Now, some of the other courses, a math, a science, certainly some of your elective courses like history, government, English, things like that, those can be in large, more traditional lecture hall type scenarios, but your engineering courses are all going to be very, very small. We believe very strongly in a team-based collaborative learning environment, and that's just very, very difficult to do if you're in large classroom settings. And so we're very purposeful, very intentional about that from day one. All of your engineering courses will be less than 100. In fact, over 50% of our undergraduate courses are actually less than 50 students. Dr. Alves, if you'd go to the next slide. Thank you. So a couple of dates and deadlines I want you to be aware of. If you are a senior in high school right now, you can apply. The application is open right now. This is for fall 2021 admission. So it would be an August 2021 start date. We did just pass an early action deadline of October 15th. That's okay. The big deadline to be aware of at this point is December 1st. That is the deadline to submit your application and all the supporting credentials. So students have to submit an application, preferably through a website called applytexas.org. There is an essay. There's also an application fee that you pay. There is, you also have to submit what's called a self-reported academic record. And so all those things are required for the Office of Admissions to review you for admission. Right now, there's two ways to be admitted, and you can go to that next slide now, Dr. Alves. There's two ways to be admitted to Texas A&M. The first is what we call top 10% admission. This is for Texas residents, and if you're in the top 10% of your class and you're here in Texas and you've been here for, or you will have been here for at least 3 years leading up to your high school graduation, and you're in the top 10%, the Office of Admissions will admit you automatically, provided that you supply all the required credentials. The other way to be admitted to the university is what we call holistic review. And as the name implies, they look at everything. They look at your academic credentials, like your rank, your test scores, if you choose to submit those. They look at your personal achievement outside the classroom, and they also consider that admissions essay that I mentioned. You'll notice that I did say test scores if you choose to submit those. I want to make clear that right now for the fall 21 application cycle and also for the fall 22 application cycle, submission of SAT or ACT scores is currently optional. We understand that many of you may have tried to take a test and it's been canceled due to COVID-19. We don't want anyone to be disadvantaged because of that. And so it's totally optional to submit your test scores. If you have the ability to submit a score, we still recommend that you do that. But again, you can be reviewed without those scores, still have just as good a chance, even if you did submit scores. Dr. Alves, if you go to the next slide. In addition to the review process for admission to the university, there's also a secondary review that students go through for a spot in the College of Engineering. So we have a wide variety of majors. I'll show you a list of those in just a second. And you can list a specific major on the application. It could be civil, chemical, mechanical, electrical, whatever you want it to be. Ultimately, though, when you apply to A&M, you're not reviewed based on that specific major, but rather your interest in the college. And so the Office of Admissions, again, they put you through a review process for admission to the university. Then they put you through a secondary review process for a spot in the College of Engineering. And that secondary review process is holistic for every student who applies. So they look at the things that I already mentioned, your rank, your test scores, if you submit those. In this part, or in this review, they also consider the highest level math that you have completed or that you're on track to completing. There's also an additional engineering essay where you can talk about your interest in that career field. And I really encourage students to try to draw from personal experience. Have you taken any courses that are engineering related? Are you involved in any type of clubs or organizations or project teams that are engineering in nature? Things like that that you can draw from and tell Texas A&M, this is what I've done. This is why I think I want to pursue a career in engineering. And this is what I think I can get from the experience at Texas A&M. All of that information can be very, very helpful. Ultimately, they are trying to select students who they believe are going to be successful from an academic perspective. That's a very, very important part of it. But they also want to select students who they believe are going to persist and stick with the engineering degrees and complete those degrees here at Texas A&M. So it's a very, very important process, part of the process. And it's very important for you guys to make sure you're as thorough and as detailed on every single aspect of the application that you can be. So here are the options that students are reviewed for through the traditional freshman application process. Everyone is reviewed first and foremost for what we call general engineering, and that's here in College Station. That is the traditional process, right? The traditional pathway where you come to College Station, you spend your entire career here, you take all of your courses through Texas A&M. We have another opportunity for students to come to College Station, and it's called Texas A&M Engineering at Blinn. Blinn College is our local community college here in Bryan, Texas. And students in this program are co-enrolled. They take a couple of classes on Texas A&M's campus each semester, a couple of classes on Blinn's campus each semester to create their overall schedule. They do that for 1 to 2 years, and then they ultimately enroll fully through Texas A&M to finish their degree. The great thing about both of those options is you get the traditional first year experience. You get to move here, you get to live on campus if you want to, you can get a meal plan and a sports pass and use the rec center and the computer labs and the libraries, all that good stuff. The other options you see listed on this slide are opportunities to start a Texas A&M engineer degree at one of our branch campuses. So we actually have a branch campus in Galveston. Most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with where that is. It's right on the coast of the Gulf of Mexico, about an hour and a half south of Houston. We also have a higher education center in McAllen, Texas. McAllen is in an area of Texas called the Rio Grande Valley. It's down in South Texas. And students that are given one of these options can go to one of those locations, spend a minimum of a year at one of those sites, and then either choose to finish a degree that's offered at one of those sites or move to College Station and finish a degree offered here. It really depends on you, what you want to pursue, the experience that you're looking for, the size of the campus that you're looking for. Ultimately, that decision is made by you. But these are all options that students are selected for through the traditional freshman application process. It's all handled by the Office of Admissions. This slide, again, gives you the list that I promised of the current undergraduate majors that we offer at Texas A&M. There's 22 different things to choose from. And so again, another benefit of having a university our size is we can offer a wide variety of degree options. Some of you may have a good idea of what you want to do already. Some of you may have no idea at all. That's okay too. You just know you enjoy math and science. Maybe you really like problem solving. Some of you may be trying to decide between 2 or 3 of these majors. Wherever you are on that spectrum, Texas A&M can be a good fit for you because we use a general engineering model. And so, as I alluded to earlier, you'll list a specific major on the application, but ultimately, if you're admitted and you decide to come here, Texas, you'll start off and spend a minimum of 1 year following a general engineering curriculum. Ultimately, we have, well, let me back up. We want to give you multiple opportunities, especially during that first year, to explore any of these majors in which you might be interested. We want you to talk to people in those departments, visit with industry reps, have experiences, perhaps even a global experience like Dr. Alves is going to talk about, a research opportunity, maybe an internship or a co-op, things like that that can help you narrow down your choice based on your long-term goals and your career objectives. We have a process that we've created called entry to a major, and that's the method that our students use to go from general engineering into one of these degree granting programs. For a lot of students, that process happens at the end of their first year. For some students, it happens during their second year. Our goal is to get you into a major by the end of your second year, if not sooner. And that's our goal. And we've been pretty successful with that so far since we started using this model back in 2014. So again, you're not locked in to anything at Texas A&M when you apply. You're not locked in to anything when you show up. We want to give you multiple opportunities to explore, and then again, choose the major that lines up best with your long-term goals. So I also alluded to this earlier. We're very intentional about providing a team-based collaborative learning environment. A lot of that happens in the classroom, but we also have a wide variety of opportunities outside the classroom. And this is really what sets Texas A&M apart from a lot of other institutions. There are a lot of schools that provide a world-class education, just like Texas A&M will. But the opportunities you have to network, remember how many students I mentioned have come through Texas A&M, the opportunity you have to network, create your community of academic peers, but also start to build your professional network is second to none here at Texas A&M. So we have mentorship programs, we have living learning communities like our engineering village, we have opportunities to develop your leadership skills. We have over 80 recognized student organizations and activities just within the College of Engineering alone. And so there's a lot out there. You'll hear our ambassadors talk in just a couple of minutes about some of the things that they've been involved with that have really benefited them, that have helped them lay the groundwork again to be successful long term. And that's really what it's all about. If I could give you one piece of advice, it would be this. When you're thinking about college, don't just think about the 4 or 5 years you're going to spend at a place like Texas A&M. That's part of it, and that's a great experience, but it's really about what those 4 or 5 years are going to do for you for the next 30 or 40 years of your life and career. And that's where Texas A&M excels. The return on your investment here at Texas A&M is very, very high, and our students are very successful long term. So I want to thank you for letting me visit with you for a few minutes. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. De Sousa at this point.
Thank you, Mr. John Buchanan. Boa noite. Good evening, everyone. My name is David De Sousa. I'm also Brazilian. Before I talk about the Engineering Academy, which is a great pathway to a lot of students, I want to share a little bit about my story and my background. I came to the United States many years ago, back in 1992. And back then, my father gave me a tour of Texas A&M University, and I knew that's where I wanted to go to school. So I have 3 older siblings. I'm the youngest of 4. All my siblings, when they initially applied to Texas A&M, they all were admitted. With me, although I had the highest SAT score, I was not accepted. So I knew I wanted to go to Texas A&M. But what I did was that I started at a community college, and I worked very closely with an academic advisor, and that advisor told me exactly what courses I needed to take, and also what GPA I needed to maintain at the community college in order to transfer to Texas A&M University. Again, I said transfer to Texas A&M University. But at the time, it was very interesting. I thought that the whole situation was very unfortunate, and but it was really a blessing, because I did not know that cost of tuition at a community college was a lot less compared to Texas A&M University, and also the class sizes. The classes sizes were a lot smaller compared to a 4-year institution. So for me, it was very, very beneficial. I also have one of the students that is currently co-enrolled at a community college and also at Texas A&M here with me. His name is André Magalhaes, also Brazilian, but later on he'll be sharing with you a little bit about his background and story as well when the ambassadors speak. So the Engineering Academies, as I mentioned earlier, it's not a transfer program. It's what we call a transition program. But it's a program where students start their education, their college education at a community college, but they are also Texas A&M students. They are co-enrolled. So students usually take their math, sciences, and core curriculum courses through the community college, and they take one Texas A&M engineering courses at the community college as well. and it's usually face-to-face with the Texas A&M professor. And we have Texas A&M classrooms at each one of those locations. So the goals of the engineering academies is, number one, to provide a well-known engineering education to the population of Texas. So we're here to provide more access to a Texas A&M engineering degree. And that's why we have partnered with community college. Number two is affordability. Our students, because we partner with community college, and community college tuition is less compared to foreign institutions, our students can save up to $50,000 on their overall education. That's if they live at home for 2 years and they are in our program taking most of the courses, of course, through the community college. And then number three, we're very concerned about completion and retention. We want to make sure that our students succeed. So our students are advised by both advisors at the community college and also an advisor on the Texas A&M side as well. And we have programs where we bring students to campus where students can feel that they're Aggies from day one. Next slide, please. So a little bit of history about our program. You can look here at the map to see the locations in the community college that we have partnered with. Mr. John Buchanan talked about the co-enrollment program that Texas A&M has with Blaine Bryan, which is Texas A&M Engineering at Blaine Bryan. That program, you can only participate if you apply to Texas A&M as an incoming freshman. I still recommend all of you to apply to Texas A&M as an incoming freshman, just to see what options you receive from Texas A&M University. But also look into this pathway, the engineering academies. And the reason is because it's always good to have options. As you can see in this map, we are located all throughout the state of Texas. We are in West Texas, in Midland College. We are all over Central Texas, and we are also in the Dallas area. We have 2 academies that have housing, and those are in Midland and also in Brenham. Brenham is about 45 miles from College Station. I would say anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour. So we have a lot of students that since that location is so close to campus, they come to campus very often. But for those students that are interested in being part of the Engineering Academy at Blaine Brenham, they must live on the Blaine Brenham campus. The Midland College is optional, and the other ones, they do not offer housing. But if you're in the Dallas area, or Houston, Austin, or San Antonio, you can live at home and save a lot of money that way. So we were established in 2015. When we first started, we started with Engineering Academy in Brenham and also in Houston. We are also considered the first engineering transition of its kind in the United States. So as I mentioned earlier, our students are co-enrolled. They're Aggies, they're students from both institutions. And then after 1 to 2 years, the student are eligible, of course, if they meet the requirements, to move or transition to College Station and finish their degree here. But let's say if they are interested in a major in Galveston, they're welcome to do that. In the same way in McAllen, which is located in South Texas. But most of our students, they transition to the campus here in College Station. So with that also, we have industry partners. So as of right now, we have 2 partners, which are Chevron and Concho Resources. So as you can see, not only we have partnered with institutions of higher education, but also companies. So they're really, really investing in our program because they see the value of it. In addition to that, our students have access to a mentorship program that is through Chevron that has been very beneficial to a lot of students, that has opened also a lot of internship opportunities for them. Next slide, please. So you're probably wondering, all right, that all sounds good. How do I apply? First of all, I want to tell you one thing. It is free to apply. Thanks to our partnership with our industry partners, with their funds, we pay for your $75, $90 application fee. So you do not have anything to lose. So, the application process is very simple. It always starts at the community college. So your first step is to apply directly to, let's say, if you're from the Houston area, you apply to HCC. Your next step, you need to complete a pre-qualification form, which that pre-qualification form takes about 5 minutes to complete. And what the community college is asking for that on that pre-qualification form is what math courses you have taken, what's your SAT, ACT score, because they want to know where to place you, in what math course to place you. Because our students must be either pre-calculus, that's college level, pre-calculus ready, or calculus 1 ready. So let's say you get pre-qualified because you are either pre-calculus or calculus 1 or higher, then our partner college gives you the link for you to apply to Texas A&M University. Next slide, please. So let's say you are admitted to the program. You are really taking about the same courses that our students in College Station are taking. As mentioned by my colleague, Mr. John Buchanan, the first year students are not admitted to a major. So our students in the academies are not either. They're all kind of general engineering students, but after they complete 2 math courses, 2 sciences, and the 2 Texas A&M engineering courses, but of course, we'll provide you the list and tell you which one of those courses that you need to complete, then you're eligible to apply to a major in College Station. So you compete along with the students that are here in the College Station campus to petroleum, to chemical engineering, to civil. So you all compete together to get admitted to one of those majors. So let's say I went through this process. Great. Here is the first year schedule, how it looks like. As I mentioned, the science, math, and core curriculum courses are taken through the community college, but your engineering courses are to Texas A&M University. Next slide, please. So here, just to make it easy, just to make it visual for y'all, as I mentioned earlier, the first step is always apply to the community college. In our partner colleges, they have put information on how to start that process. So here I put a simple process for Austin Community College. And as you can see on their page, it tells you step-by-step information on how to apply and hopefully be admitted to this program. So number 1, apply to ACC and secure admission with them. Number 2, make sure you're pre-qualified based on your math readiness. Number 3 is if you're pre-qualified, then you're given a link to apply to Texas A&M University. Next slide. So if you have your phone with you, or if you have a pen to write with, please write down these links here. We have made it easier for you, depending on the location where you are and where you would like to go. You can just type in this information and it will take you straight to the page, the pre-qualification page, where you can go ahead and start your process. Now, the Texas A&M application does not open up. This is for the academies only. for this program does not open up until December 1. So, but you can go ahead and secure your admission at the community college. So just know if you get pre-qualified for the program before December 1, the application is not going to be open by then. So most likely you won't be receiving notification from our partner colleges until after December 1, because that's when you will be able to start on your Texas A&M application. Because again, it's a two-step process. You apply to the community college. The second step, you're given a link to apply to Texas A&M University, and that link is given by the community college. Next slide. So I had mentioned earlier about our goals, and our third goal is to make sure that our students succeed. So we usually, of course, due to the situation we're in, we weren't able to bring students to campus this academic year yet. But in the past, we were able to bring students to campus about 6 times, sometimes 7 times a year. We brought students to campus where they had opportunities to interact with on-campus students and learn more about the resources available here at Texas A&M University. So when they transition to here, that transition will be smooth. And maybe by then they would also have known and worked with some of the current students. So some of the programs that we bring them to is the career fair. We bring them that, of course, that first year. We bring them to the project showcase where engineering students here showcase their engineering projects. We bring them to the iSaturday where the departments showcase their majors. And also one of my favorites is the football tailgate. Unfortunately, we weren't able to bring the current students to the tailgate, but we have done that in the past. Next semester, we're hopeful to maybe bring them to a basketball or a baseball game, but that all depends. And also, we have offered opportunities for students to travel internationally as well. And one of those trips was where they went to Mexico, and they interacted with students from Mexico and also with on-campus students. And it was really neat experience because they worked on a project together where they presented to on-campus students. Next slide. So another benefit, as I mentioned, I was a transfer student. A lot of time when you apply to an institution as a transfer student, maybe not all the courses that you take are transferable or they apply to a degree plan. As I mentioned earlier, our students are advised by Texas A&M advisors from day one when they are in the program. So our students are really in the path to graduate at the same time as our students that start in College Station. Usually transfer students take longer to graduate. Next slide. So if you have any questions, I have put some of the contact information of some of my colleagues and also their regions, but also please feel free to contact me. Actually, just contact me directly. Eu falo português, claro, but my name is David Sousa, and my email is ddesouza@tamu.edu. Thank you so much. I'll pass it over to Dr. Alves.
Thank you, David. So I'd like to present to you guys really quickly some opportunities that we have in the College of Engineering. You saw some already, which is to join the project showcase, to participate in different competitions. But one of the very important ones for the college is to provide a global experience for students. So I'm the director for Halliburton Engineering Global Programs. The reason why we have Halliburton in our name is because we have an endowment from the company. So they provided funds to our department for scholarships and for program development. So our students, our engineering students, when they graduate, they will have a global mindset. So our mission is to prepare engineering students to lead in the global industry and society. We do that by developing high quality engineering programs to expand the professional skills of global engineers, of our engineering students. And our goal is to have at least 50% of our students graduate with a global experience. And our college is large, right? You have heard that many times. So for us, we need to have at least 2,000 students studying abroad each year. We are about above 1,000 currently, well, before COVID-19. But as soon as we recover from this time and we're able to travel again, we'll go back to the 1,000, hopefully getting soon to the 2,000 students going abroad each year. And one thing that we say is that the COVID pandemic has shown to us that we really need to be aware of what's happening around the world and be able to work together to solve the big issues, including pandemic or energy or water. So providing engineering students with the skills to be able to work in a global society and with people that have different points of view is very crucial, even more now. So our approach has been to integrate the College of Engineering global opportunities into the education of the students and degree plan. So all the opportunities that we have in our department are open to the engineering academy students, the students at Galveston, and students at McAllen, and students in the College Station campus. We have more than 70 programs all over the world, and we have programs that are called field trip, usually 1 or 2 weeks, very short. Faculty-led, they range between 3 weeks to 6 or 10 weeks. Exchange, which are semester-long exchange, and international internship. So a variety of options for students in terms of length, types of programs, and where students can go to study abroad, right? So why is this important? It's important because that will impact your career. What John has said, you need to think about the experiences that you have while in College Station, the college that you're at Texas A&M, or the college that you're choosing, but also where it's going to take you after that, right? So it's a career impact. You're going to gain essential job skills by participating in a global experience. You satisfy one of the engineering graduation requirements, which is Engineering Acts. The courses are integrated to your degree plan. So the goal that we have in global programs and in many of the efforts of the College of Engineering is not to delay graduation. And as you go for interviews, for internships, and for jobs, that experience will really set you apart. And as an example, these are the skills that our students have told us they come back with from our programs. They say they have increased their confidence, the independence in behaving and thinking. They have enhanced their interpersonal skills, the ability to teamwork and work effectively with others. They have broadened their view of engineering problem solving and finding solutions, and their ability to become friends and work with those that have different values or even religion. So as you can see, it's fun to travel. It's a great opportunity, but really it's an opportunity to develop more skills and to make you a more effective and more efficient engineering students. So I wanted to present that very quickly because really I wanted to give an opportunity to hear from our student ambassadors. They're the ones who have been going through this experience that we have told you about. So I would like to open up now to the student ambassadors, and maybe we can go in order here. I'm going to go with the order that I see here on my screen. Maybe Raquel, can you share with us your experience and be ready to answer questions as well, please?
Sure. So howdy, my name is Raquel Sapon. I am a senior electrical engineering major with a minor in mathematics from Houston, Texas. But more importantly, I am the loudest and the proudest member of the Fighting Texas Aggie class of 2020. So that what you heard at the end is called a Wildcat, and that's just kind of a way that each year students are able to show their class pride. And so I'm a first generation college student. I'm also a first generation high school graduate. So coming to college was definitely different and new for me. I didn't know what to expect. I just knew that I wanted to get a college degree. And so in high school, I was very fortunate to be part of an engineering program that exposed me to a lot of engineering tracks. And so that's where my first passion for electrical engineering started. But I actually applied to engineering as a computer engineering student. I got accepted as a computer engineering student. And after my first year, I realized I don't like to code. Coding is not fun for me. And so I ended up switching to electrical, and I never looked back, and I'm very happy to be graduating in electrical. On top of that, I've had a lot of experiences, not only in organizations, but also study abroads. I've been part of 4 study abroads during my time here. And I've done everything from like a week long to 6 weeks to 9 weeks. So I can definitely talk about that. I visited so many beautiful parts of the world, and it's helped me in kind of getting my 2 internships that I've gotten and now my full-time offer. And so I can definitely talk about that. I've also been a part of the Zachary Leadership Program, which is a joint venture between Zachary Group and the College of Engineering that aspires to teach students not only to build upon their leadership skills, but also their engineering skills. So I can happily talk about that. I've also been an ambassador for not only the College of Engineering, but also for Access and Inclusion, Women in Engineering. I've also been part of the choir here at Texas A&M. I've been part of IEEE, been part of SHIP. So just to say a little bit, I could definitely answer a lot of questions from anything I've spoken about. So please feel free to ask questions. I am very happy to answer them.
Great, thank you so much. A lot of great experience. And congratulations on your graduation coming soon. So André, can you share with us your experience?
How's it going, everybody? Boa noite. My name is André Magalhaes. I'm from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. My experience is a little bit different. I never necessarily intended on coming to study engineering in America. Actually, I came to study music. Ended up not liking it so much. And after talking to some advisors and having one fantastic math class, I realized I really like math. And my advisor told me about this engineering program that they have in partnership with, that ACC has in partnership with A&M. And so I decided to pursue it. I got in, and I intend to major in biomedical engineering. And it's a great program. You do have maybe 1 or 2 bigger classes, right? The intro to engineering class, you can have up to anywhere around 80, 90 students. But even then, you're always working in different groups. There's many opportunities, before COVID, there were many opportunities that you could actually interact with the other students. And I've gotten to know most of the people in my cohort pretty well. It's a great way to kind of have a foundation of people that you know before actually transitioning full-time into College Station, because once, if you go in there, a lot of people already start off at College Station as freshmen, so they already have their social circles and things like that. So it makes you a little bit more confident that you're going into a new university already knowing some people. Sometimes some students in your cohort transfer before you, and all that's fine. It's more people that you know whenever you transition in.
Very good, thank you very much. Interesting transition from music to engineering. Gairy, you would like to share your experience with us? I hope I pronounced your name well.
Yes, that was perfect. Hello, everyone. My name is Gairy Natividad, and I am a senior chemical engineering major graduating this December, so right around the corner. I have always known that I wanted to do chemical engineering in high school. I took advanced math and science, and the first thought was medical school, but then I realized I can't really do blood, I can't really do sickness. So I was like, okay, we're gonna move on to maybe something different. And my AP chemistry teacher is the one who actually guided me into the chemical engineering option. And coming into A&M, I did explore biomedical, but I also realized that coding is not for me. And so I went with chemical, and something that I love about chemical engineering is just the amount of opportunities that you can go into. Throughout my undergraduate classes, we take so many math, so many science, like kind of take even classes from the different engineering disciplines. So we're able to apply it to different industries, whether it be oil and gas, any kind of energy, materials, food and beverages, pharmaceuticals. So I really liked that it opened a various amount of doors. I've had also really great involvement with the College of Engineering, as well as outside of the College of Engineering with A&M. I was involved in a sorority. I was a fish camp counselor for incoming freshmen. I have been also involved with ambassadors, as well as with programs in the chemical engineering department, like this is American Institute of Chemical Engineers, as well as an officer for the Chemical Engineering Honor Society. I've partaken in a couple of internships as well. My first internship, I actually got to pack up my bags and move to Pensacola, Florida for a semester, which was really awesome experience. The following summer, I got to experience Houston, which I'm from Dallas, so I got to kind of see what the competition was about. And then this last summer, I was able to do kind of a little different and do more of a consulting internship. So I've had a nice variety of things to dip my toes in the water. I also did a study abroad. I took thermodynamics in Scotland. So again, you know, as mentioned, it didn't push me back. It was actually part of my degree program, but I was able to take something that's a really difficult class, but in Scotland. So I was basically taking classes in a castle, you know, with a smaller group of students. So it was more intimate. I was able to get to know my professors, really get to meet a really awesome group of chemical engineers, and got to experience that study abroad. So I've had some awesome experiences, and also happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you so much. So I hope we were able to present to you all the opportunities in the College of Engineering at Texas A&M, the process for application, and once you're here, everything that you can get engaged with. You could see our students, they come here for their degree plans, but they get engaged on many, many things around their degree plan, extracurricular that we say here. So with that, we'd like to open up for questions if people have anything else they would like to find out from us or any questions.
Nossa audiência, por enquanto, está meio tímida aqui. A gente só tem uma pergunta, mas eu vou ter algumas para vocês também. Pessoal que está nos assistindo, aproveita a experiência dos estudantes e dos professores brasileiros aqui nos Estados Unidos para encher a gente de perguntas. A primeira pergunta que a gente teve, professora, foi a seguinte. O Regis pergunta aqui como é que funciona o International Student Financial Statement, que ele falou que é uma das ele leu no site que é uma das obrigações.
Certo. John or David, do you know how to answer that part on the application process, the international statement?
I am actually not familiar with the international statement. It's actually
ele comenta aqui que viu no site de vocês que uma das obrigações seria ter um International Student Financial Statement.
Oh, the financial statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Financial statement, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, David. Talk about that.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Thank you. What that is, it is a form that you have to provide with proof that you have enough funds for you to be a Texas A&M student. Isn't that right, John Buchanan?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
And it's just an initial form that's submitted, and I think you have to provide verification that you have enough funding to cover at least 1 year of academics at Texas A&M. I'm not sure how they treat that for future years. One thing to remember about Texas A&M is, and I'll preface this by saying there's a limited number of scholarships available for international students, but if an international student is awarded a single scholarship or multiple scholarships totaling $4,000 or more, they get that scholarship money, plus they're provided with what's called a non-resident tuition waiver. And that allows students from outside Texas to pay the same tuition rate as a student from Texas pays. And so as a state institution, we have some funding that comes from the government of Texas. And so students that are here in Texas enjoy those benefits. Students from outside Texas, they could potentially still enjoy those benefits if they are awarded enough scholarship money. Something else that I kind of mentioned briefly, I glossed over really quickly. I don't know, the students that we're visiting with tonight, I don't know if any of you guys are in the US right now, but if you're in the US, and you will be in the US, you'll actually graduate from a US high school, specifically one here in Texas, and I think
it varies.
It varies. Okay. So if you will have been in Texas for at least 36 consecutive months leading up to your high school graduation, you also could qualify for resident tuition. There's an affidavit that you can submit that it's a statement saying you intend to apply for permanent residency or citizenship at some point. And you can submit that to Texas A&M, and there's a law here in Texas that allows you to pay resident tuition. All you have to do is submit that form, and then they'll allow you to pay resident tuition. But you have to be here for at least 3 years, at least 36 consecutive months leading up to your high school graduation. And that way, you don't need any scholarship money. You're just eligible for resident tuition automatically.
Okay, thank you, John. And I think among our audience, we have both children of I mean, sons of Brazilians that are in high school living here in US and in Brazil. Or it's a mixed audience.
Great.
Good. So let me add a couple of things as well. So when John says that you get to pay in-state tuition, it's an important step because it's 1/3 of the price of the international or the out-of-state tuition. So it's a big difference in terms of how much it costs. Also, for the international financial statement, I can tell you my experience when I was applying. So I'm originally from Brazil, and I did my undergraduate in Florida and came to Texas A&M for my master's degree. And what it means is 3 months of statement from your bank and a letter from your bank. The letter needs to be either in English or translated to English, right? Certifying that you have that 1 year of tuition and fees in cost of living in dollars, right? So they were also going to have to do some exchange rate when they write the letter, especially. The statements can be in reais, but the letter, when your bank manager writes that letter, it should say that many reais, which is equivalent to that many dollars. So the person reading that here at Texas A&M will understand. You have to think that they're reading those financial statements from Brazil, from Colombia, from Mexico, from China, from France, from Italy, from Malaysia. So they will not know those exchange rates. So if the manager can put already the amount in dollar, that's going to be much easier for the person reading that statement.
Okay, now I want to make a question to the students. I don't want the teachers anymore. So guys, when you're deciding what are you going to study in your life, it's a universe of choices, of courses, of institutions, universities, countries. So I want to hear about this process of yours. How did you end up in Texas? Why Texas? And why Texas A&M? And why, I mean, your stories. And one second question, you can either answer at the same time or later. Do you work at the same time that you study? Do you study part-time and work part-time? Is it allowed? And if so, which kind of works are you allowed to do? Let's start with, I don't know, who talked first? Rachel.
So I am born and raised in Houston, Texas. So I am a Texas girl at heart. But I do have family in Guatemala, and I get to visit every year until, unfortunately, COVID. And so definitely I did consider going abroad for schools and even going out of state. But at the end of the day, what really kind of got me interested at A&M was when I came to visit A&M. You know, like I came from Houston, so I went to really big high schools. And so the big numbers didn't really scare me. But what did scare me is leaving home, like, especially in the Hispanic home, like girls don't leave, they kind of stay with the parents until like they get married and then they leave. At least that's how my cousins did it. I was like, bye, mom. And so I came and visited. And I fell in love with the campus. I loved it. Everybody was so kind. I know I would get lost a lot, and I wasn't afraid to go to somebody and ask for directions. And this was really key because I didn't just visit A&M. I visited UT. I visited a lot of out-of-state schools, and it was just it was that feeling that really like sold me on A&M. And then I have worked and gone to school. I think this is my first semester, or I think it's my second semester that I didn't work and go to school. And that was because I saved my money for my internships. But I also had a lot of scholarships that help with schools, with the school cost. So definitely it is doable to be able to work and go to school. I also just encourage, if you're looking for a job, look for a job on campus, because a lot of those jobs are very flexible and will also be understandable if, you know, it's midterm season. If you need to take a couple of days off to really focus on studying, they're going to be okay with that because they understand that you're a student first, you're a worker second. And some of those like off campus jobs aren't as lenient. So it just really depends on your boss and what you get. I know there are also, once you get to a junior, senior level, particular jobs that you can work for an actual like engineering specific company. I have friends who are working for companies doing AutoCAD work or doing electrical work or whatever it could be, IT, and they love it. They think it's great. It's also helped them to get a full-time job. I have a friend who actually started interning their freshman year and has returned and actually working full-time with them now. And so it just really depends on like what it is you want to do. I don't know if I missed anything, but yes, it really depends on like who you are also. Cause you know, I have friends who like want to be in the city, and I was like, I came from a city and I'm okay to not be in a city. And then I have friends who are like, the country, do you ride a horse to school? I'm like, no, there's no horses. Other than like in like our,
it's the fourth biggest city in the US. I mean, people think that it's Old West yet, but it's not.
Oh no, I have family in New York, and when I go visit them, they make fun of my y'all and howdy, and I'm like, why are you so Southern? I'm like, that's just how we speak. I was like, I don't know.
That's
so,
something
yeah.
I always like to remind people of something. If you take Texas alone, and you pretend it's a country, it would be the 10th largest economy in the world. So Texas itself, it's something to pay attention to. Maybe for Brazilians, at least for tourism, we think about, I don't know, New York as the rest of the world, maybe California, and we don't think of Texas as the center of technology, of medicine, of, I don't know, many things. Gairy, your turn. I'll leave the Brazilian for the end, Andre. Gairy.
Okay, yeah, so very similar answer to Raquel as to why I chose A&M, but my original path, I was actually going to play collegiate soccer somewhere, but then, you know, I came to really like a realization at 18 years old saying, okay, am I going to attend this university just to play a sport for 4 years, or do I want to go somewhere that is, you know, really well known for the major that I wanted to pursue and focus on my next 40 years? So once I decided to no longer play soccer, I also started touring, you know, UT, other schools out of state. I was actually committed on going to UT. I had my living arrangement, like I was pretty set. And my parents were just like, go visit A&M, try it out. I really, for whatever reason, didn't know too much about it. But then, you know, we arranged a visit and I came. And again, you know, I fell in love with the campus. I fell in love with the atmosphere. What I ended up doing is my father and I arranged a meeting with one of the chemical engineering advisors to kind of talk to her, get a more better approach of what is the program like. So I spoke to her, kind of told her, okay, these are the classes that I've been taking. This is what I'm interested in, really seeing if it was a good fit. Super helpful. And then what really got me is like, as we were about to leave the building, you know, I was like looking around, like really amazed, you know, coming from high school to now this really big building in college, there were some students that approached me. They looked at me, they said, you look absolutely lost. Can we help you? And so then I explained to them, you know, that I was a senior, I was thinking about A&M. So these students who I'd never met before, don't know me, took like an hour out of their day. They showed me all of their classrooms. They introduced me to one of their professors. They even took me upstairs to like one of the research floors to see kind of the things that they were doing, they were involved with. They recommended where to go to lunch. Like they spent an hour of their day just to help me. Not once did they try to push me to come to A&M. They were just showing me like what they loved about it, what they were involved in, like why they chose it. And it was that feeling, you know, of comfort, of, you know, feeling at home. Again, a school of nearly 70,000 students, but it felt like home. It felt really easy. I could tell that going there, they really did care about my success. I wasn't just another number, another statistic that was going to graduate from this top tier university. They really cared. And so that's what brought me in. And, you know, I've loved it ever since. It is a really small school feel. It's crazy that I will go on the other side of campus and recognize people that I met 1 or 2 years ago, or through getting involved in A&M, you get to network with not only people in your inner circle, you get to meet people in other majors, other engineering disciplines. So you really do make that networking. When they say the Aggie network is real, it absolutely is. So I've loved it. It really is the people that make a difference here at A&M. And in terms of work, you know, I've been fortunate enough, like through scholarship, that I actually haven't had to work throughout my 4 years, but I do have a ton of friends who do both. But also, as Raquel mentioned, like it's probably the most ideal situation is to try to work on campus because they do help out with your hours. And when it comes to actually choosing your schedule for the following semester, you get priority because they know that you have that work schedule. So you're able to choose what you're going to take before most people to help out that balance. But I also have friends who work outside of campus in different jobs. So it really just depends on your schedule, your workload, but you are able to do both. You just have to make sure that you really organize your time.
Okay, thank you very much, Rachel. Thank you, Gary. E agora eu vou passar para o português, né, André? Acho que a gente vai dar um quebra-galho para o pessoal que está assistindo. Conta um pouquinho aí da sua vida em português, da sua decisão pelo Texas A&M, da questão de se você pode trabalhar ou não, essas pequenas regras, e mais qualquer coisa que você queira adicionar.
Claro. Então, a minha experiência foi um pouquinho diferente porque eu passei uns anos da minha infância morando em Houston. Então, eu já tive uma experiência aqui com Texas e tal. E aí, na hora de vir para a faculdade... Na verdade, eu tinha passado por uma faculdade no Rio de Janeiro. Eu tinha começado administração na PUC-Rio. E eu passei 2 semanas lá e eu reparei que era muito igual ao meu colégio. Era todo mundo que eu tinha conhecido de outros colégios no meu colégio. Eu tive essa oportunidade de vir para cá para, inicialmente, estudar música. Eu comecei no ACC. E ao longo do tempo eu fui reparando que música não era bem para mim. Eu ainda adoro música, ainda toco bastante música, mas eu sou muito motivado a desafio, né? Eu gosto muito de um desafio. E para mim matemática sempre foi mais ou menos isso, exatamente o que eu buscava, um bom desafio que, ao mesmo tempo que é difícil, é divertido. Não sei bem explicar. E eu tive ótimos professores que me incentivaram muito a ir para esse caminho de engenharia. Eu posso trabalhar aqui nos Estados Unidos porque eu tenho cidadania dupla. E na verdade, eu comecei minha própria companhia de cuidar de bichos de estimação, de pet care. Né? Então, eu passei com cachorro, eu cuido de cachorro ou gatos quando os donos vão viajar, que para mim é ótimo, porque né, os horários são bem flexíveis, eu gerencio meu próprio negócio, que também é uma boa experiência. E sempre que algum cliente meu for viajar, que eles pedem para eu ficar na casa deles com os cachorros, eu tenho uma nova área assim, para poder estudar em paz, né? longe das pessoas que moram comigo e tal, sem distração. A faculdade em si, eu acabei escolhendo a A&M, não tem um motivo específico. Eu não conhecia muito a faculdade antes de aplicar, mas conforme o processo foi passando, eu fui conhecendo os professores, os advisors também que te ajudam nesse processo e tal. E quando comecei com a aula de engenharia, que eu tive essa oportunidade de conhecer professores da A&M, de visitar o campus e tal, eu fui reparando que, sem saber, era o que eu estava procurando. Era uma faculdade de alta qualidade, com espaço para poder crescer, não só como um estudante, mas como um profissional. E é uma oportunidade que, todos os dias, eu agradeço o André do passado por ter tomado essa decisão de vir para cá.
Bacana, André. Bom, nosso tempo está chegando ao final, so I want to thank everybody that came here to talk to us very much. In special, Maria, obrigado de novo por você ter organizado toda essa turma para vir falar com a gente. Acho que a Maria caiu, deixou recebê-la de volta aqui na nossa sala, que é justamente eu aproveitar para agradecer. Ela chega e eu já vou me despedir, coisa triste. Professora, a senhora está de volta?
Voltei, desculpa, caiu minha conexão.
Sem problemas. Voltou a tempo justamente para agradecer a senhora por ter reunido toda essa turma para falar com a gente. Eu acho que foi bem bacana, a gente conheceu da universidade, também um pouco da experiência pessoal dos estudantes. So thank you very much again. If you want to add something else.
No, thank you very much for the invitation. It's always exciting to share about Texas A&M. It's something that is our job, but it's also our pleasure to do. So thank you, all the participants here, John, David, Raquel, André, and Gairy. Thank you very much for taking the time to be here with us today, and thank you for the invitation.
Obrigado a vocês. A gente continua com a feira educacional, a feira de educação. Ainda temos quarta, quinta e sexta, amanhã 2 palestras. Amanhã teremos aqui a professora Tânia Marsuccelli, da Universidade de Colorado, em Boulder. É a nossa convidada de fora do Texas, né, lá do Colorado, vai falar com a gente. E no segundo horário a gente tem a senhora Shannon Battle, eu acho que a pronúncia é essa, que é aqui da Houston Baptist University. Essas palestras estão todas disponíveis aqui no canal do Consulado no YouTube, vão ficar disponíveis, então se você conhece alguém que não pôde assistir, que queira ver depois, ou você quer ver novamente, à vontade, está aí aqui para vocês. E precisando entrar em contato com a Texas A&M, depois a professora vai me passar direitinho, eu coloco na descrição do vídeo qual é o caminho central para vocês entrarem em contato. Até amanhã, se inscreva aqui no canal para dar mais audiência, E semana que vem a gente tem uma palestra só sobre vistos de estudante para vocês que tiveram dúvidas. Ah, meu Deus, mas como é que eu faço para tirar o visto? Semana que vem tem aqui. Obrigado, Texas A&M. Howdy. Bye, bye.